if you try to fail but succeed, have you succeeded or failed? That's a bit of a conundrum for you to think about over the next day or two. Life is full of paradoxes and complexities, isn't it? Paradoxes, statements that seem to be self-contradictory, but in fact in examination turn out to be quite true. Today's gospel is also full of paradoxes. I first looked at the gospel about 10 days ago, and I thought, I'm glad that we will be opening the churches for this coming weekend, and I won't have to speak about this gospel. It's a bit hard, and I'm really struggling to get something from it. But too soon did I act and think, So having struggled with it, I invite you to come with the journey with me to struggle also. In the readings, thank you John Luke and Daniel Legal. In these readings, I believe that they're about balance and hospitality. Two great themes for any of our lives. Jesus says in the gospel, anyone who finds her life will lose it, and those who lose their life for my sake will find it. Now, as I've suggested, I really didn't want to quite face that, and yet it's true, isn't it? You've only got to think about a young parent who gives up a fitness bike ride in order to be with their young child as he or she learns to ride their bike, and the parent encouraging and making sure that they're with them. Or a toddler getting out of the pusher in order to go for a stroll, and you've got to stop every minute or two to look at a leaf or an insect. Mind you, it's not just young parents. You and I, who are a bit older, also have to give up some of our wishes and our plans whenever we stop and listen to somebody else in our conversations. Our plans might be interrupted, but we feel good that we have done something for someone else. What about the preferring Jesus to family? That seems to have another little extra barb to it, doesn't it? Well, folks, again, although it might sound odd, I suggest to you that it's in fact true. Thank God I haven't had to face that issue of family or God. My family is remarkably supportive in what I do, and I say thank you. But we are inspired, aren't we, when we talk with people who have had to make the choice. On my couple of sabbaticals, one of the great joys is meeting up with young people and hearing their conversations about the struggle that they have in changing careers from a lawyer or an accountant, a journalist, to studying theology in order to become a pastoral worker. Almost always the families just don't understand why give up a well-paid, secure job in order to do something as nebulous as pastoral work. And family and friends often treat them a bit differently, a bit warily, thinking, they're going a bit holy, this person. These people, may I suggest, inspire us because from time to time we too have to make a choice between what is easy and following the crowd, or, damn it all, what our conscience tells us is the right thing to do. This is putting God before all else, folks. Now, I'm not suggesting that we don't enjoy and other things that are around us, like going to a movie. Can you remember when you were able to do that? Watching Netflix or having a good dinner conversation. All those things are terrific, but they are somewhat transitory, are they not? It is God who reaches the depth of our soul. It is God ultimately who is the complexity answer for us. As St. Augustine said, all those hundreds of thousands, not hundreds of thousands, but 1500 years ago, said, our souls are restless, O God, until they rest in you. Today's Gospel ends the chapter 10 pep talk, if you like, of Matthew's Gospel on the mission. The end of the chapter, having spelled out the difficulties that a disciple must face, Jesus gives us that marvellous reassurance that even the smallest act of welcome will be rewarded. Of course, that's where that somewhat unusual first reading fits in also, doesn't it? Theme of welcome and response. But what about that other paradox of Jesus telling us to take up our cross? If we don't do that, then we're not worthy of Jesus. May I suggest that you go back to articles of interest on this website and have a look at the May article. I think it's Tom Carl writing a fabulous article entitled At Cross Purposes with the Resurrection. That gives a terrific answer, I think, to that paradox of Jesus. In the meantime, enjoy wrestling with the Word of God. Thank you.